Oh, yeah. Looks like we're live. We'll wait for folks to come join and, start it up. It's my 20th episode, I think, of this. I don't know. 19, I think I said. I think it's really 20, even though I wrote 19 on the title. Bless you, buddy. I have to edit that. I think 19 was yesterday. Yeah, man, it is the 20th episode. We got Coffee with Cage. Lots of fun stuff going live. I had a million questions because I posted that we were doing this today. And I figured, hey, instead of waiting for a million folks to come on now, I would have some questions lined up from you guys. And you guys did not disappoint. Some of these questions are awesome. I'm going to start with some fun ones because, those are always the best. We get them started, right? Can Texan, one of my favorites. Can Texan asks, thoughts on jersey number cards versus regular? Should they sell higher and how much? It's an interesting one. Hey, Bud, what do you think? Would you pay more for a jersey number card? Yeah? How much more? That much. Awesome. Can't really, no answer. He's too slow. He's opening Pokemon. It's Friday opening. $60. Good answer, pal. So it's funny. This was, we're not allowed to say Top Shot. It's like saying Voldemort, right? But it's exactly what was going on with Top Shot, right? It was like, oh yeah, if you got jersey number 1, chug it. I got the Coke, Jordan Hudson, Jeffrey Hart. Yes, you were first. You're first on the stream. We got the little frozen on top. People were paying crazy numbers for single digits for number 1 and for the jersey number. So it definitely matters. There are definitely people who would pay for it. Myself, I would pay a premium for like jersey number on a serial numbered card. It's, believe it or not, I think it's a little bit less of a premium the lower number the card is. You know what I mean? Like if it's a card out of 5, good afternoon, Jeff, making you thirsty. If it's a card out of 5 and it happens to be the jersey number is 2 and it's 2 of 5, I'm not going to pay a huge premium for that. Sure, maybe something. But, if it's a card that's, numbered to $2.99 and you happen to get the jersey number on it, I'll take that. Like that I like. That's a real differentiator, Did you get something good, buddy?
I pulled the Chase card.
You pulled the Chase card? What is it?
Miriam.
This is a Chase card?
Yeah.
Miriam. Okay, cool. So hang on to that. I hope I didn't get any soda on it. I'll put a sleeve on it and we'll send it in for grading. There you go. Pokemon. We opened also some Bowman Megas today with the Friday opening. Not so great, nothing really in them. The Megas weren't really like any kind of good rookies or anything like that. Any good first Bowmans. But at $45 a box, I really wasn't gonna complain. It's weird to see my LCS getting those directly too. Those Megas used to be just like a Target exclusive, so it's a little odd to see that going into the LCS. So anyway, jersey numbers. I would pay a premium for it, but it's not a huge premium. You know what I mean? Like maybe 10%, something like that. I'd pay for a jersey number, above and beyond. There you go. We're going to a little toast it here. We got DBZ in there. DBZ, you asked me a question already, just in case you weren't going to be able to get on here. So I have a question from you also. Denny Cards, we'll throw this one out there. Denny Cards asks, if one logo man is junk, is a triple logo man 3 times junk or 3 times worse? Obviously, a joke question, but I love it. You guys have seen my stuff. If you haven't seen it already, lots of fun. I said we are entering into a junk logo man era. And people are like, no, it's not junk. This flawless is so expensive. And you think of how much people have to pay to get the flawless stuff. Think of, it's still pretty rare. There's only 100 and something of them in flawless. Yeah, that's flawless. There's logo man in a lot of stuff. Like, Impeccable has, like metal logo men in it, which is even weirder. But, it's in Immaculate. It's, it's in National Treasures. There's logo man everywhere. And, it's just something to throw out there and talk about. Obviously, it's not junk, right? Your logo man cards, they cost a lot of money, and they should because they're from an expensive product. But it is something. The logo man is the catchy thing, right? The logo man is what's up, Global. The logo man is it draws in eyes. The conversation is going to be something that's a little bit bigger than just the logo man. It's the hobby in general. It's the cards that are being produced. It's mass production. It's if they start putting logo man in hoops, we are done. I mean, like that is 100% a great comment there from Basketball Card Guy. Although shouldn't the little guy get a chance at a logo man also? I mean, for most products, it's not game worn anyway. It wouldn't really cost too much to go to Dick's and get the logo man. The funny part is, I'll have a question for you guys. You can throw it in the chat, and I'll give kind of my answer. Thank you, Global. It's a beautiful face. I agree. Logo man's been around for a long time. I've talked about this on our show. Like, you can go back there, some logo man cards numbered to 18. A lot of them aren't 101s. I don't know what the recent rush for logo man cards is, and why that's become sort of all the rage. And I guess people like it. I guess they like to chase. But I mean, I'd be very nervous about logo man. To me, it is almost the same thing. Almost the same thing as chasing like that year's hot young quarterback. Almost the same thing. Like, it never seems to really go up in value. Case study right there is take a look at the triple logo man for LeBron. Like, that was supposed to be the best card ever created by Panini. And of course, they have a triple logo man this year, right? They have a bunch of triple logo. And this year you got Curry and LeBron and Luka on the same card. Is that just as good as the LeBron? Who knows? I mean, but that triple logo man LeBron has come down significantly. And I'm going to show a second comment in a row from Basketball Card Guy. Billups logo man 15 or 18. I've seen Garnett out of 18. I've seen a bunch out of 18, but this is the important part, right? Upper Deck was dumping them before losing the license. One of the things we try to talk about here, right, is if you forget about history, it's doomed to repeat itself, right? You got to remember, right? I'm sure I butchered that quote, but you understand the point, right? We are entering a Panini time period here that is similar to what was going on with Upper Deck, right? Upper Deck lost his license. Let's go. Let's produce as much stuff as we can. What's going to stop Panini from doing the same thing with logo man cards that are easy to get, right? Now, flawless, different. People are telling me that all the time. Ian, go get that phone, pal. That's a home phone. That's what old people have, home phones. Can you believe that? I still have a home phone. It's for work, It's one of those things where you have to have a landline in order to be able to work from home every now and again. It's a security thing. But anyway, there you go. Home phone. And someone's trying to sell me solar. Cheers. Anyway, so the point here is be a little nervous about it, right? If you're somebody out there, you're waiting on IG Live. I was thinking about doing IG Live. The thing is, you guys don't ask good enough questions, in the chat here. So I was going to have to use my phone to do it. I could do IG Live at the same time. Let me try to do that. Why the hell not? But you guys got to remember to ask some questions here, because I don't have a ton of questions. I have a couple of questions loaded up and ready to go from you guys. And, there's my phone. I have a couple questions loaded up and ready to go. And, after that, I need questions in the chat here. You guys, you can't be shy. You got to actually ask some questions. Who's the best Ninja Turtle and why? See, that's what I like. That is what I like. That's where we got to go. Let's get some legit questions out here. Who's the best Ninja Turtle and why? Here we go. So I'm going to do live on IG too. Why the hell not? So we'll get that rocking and rolling. We'll get that going. We'll get live. Here we go. What are the ice trucks? Where are the ice trucks going, Batman? I like it. We're going to go live. Why the heck not? Yeah, Denny, I asked you a question already. I already asked you a question. So, it is what it is, man. Best Ninja Turtle was always, for me, Donatello. He was the smart one. I was a little bit of a nerd as a kid. I know that surprises you all. But, I was a little nerdy, So Donatello was the smart guy. And, he had a crappy weapon. It was like Leonardo's swords. But, that's some fun stuff right there. Okay, see, I love the chat. There we go, guys. Collectors will adjust and recognize. Here's a question for me. Charles Fuchs. Love this one. Your thoughts on the Shaq 97 green PMG PSA for sale? $170,000. Charles, it's a great question. By the way, hey, everybody on IG Live. I'm live on YouTube. A couple folks thought I was going to be live on Instagram at the same time. Might as well do the Coffee with Cage episode on both if I can. And I got some questions in there. I love the shirt. We just answered a question. My favorite one is Donatello. Eric Myers coming on the show. I've been trying, Alt, listen up. I've been trying. The question at hand here, my thoughts on the Shaq 97 green PMG for sale. I believe that to be Shaq's best card. right? Back then, you didn't really have one of ones. You didn't, one of one Prism while he was playing. He was definitely playing there. I own a red PMG. There's 90 of those, right? I paid a decent amount for it last year. I was bidding on that green. The fact that it's a 4 doesn't really scare me away too much because there are only 10 of the cards. All right. It is a beautiful card. I would venture to say that some of the 10 will be authentic, and it's very difficult with the PSA stuff to have good grades on these. The edges just chip like crazy. They just do. And I'm going to throw a soda cap at my son now because his phone's too loud. Just kidding. But was I a little surprised it went for 170? Yes, I bowed out significantly before that, especially because at extended bidding, it was like 50 plus buyer's premium. So what that tells me is, it's everything you need to know about a card like that, right? What it tells me is there's probably 2 people bidding for it, right? But it doesn't matter when there's only 10 of them like that, It probably tells me that there was 1 or 2 people bidding against each other in extras to bid that card up. And it doesn't surprise me because that is an awesome card. Like, I would love to own one of those cards. I wasn't ready to spend $170,000 on it. I was thinking to myself, hey, if it ends at 70, 80, 90, I could sell my red and sort of upgrade it, use the red to kind of go to the green. So that's my thought on it. I was not surprised, Charles, that it went for 170. It's a little higher than I thought, but when was the last time one of those sold? And when's the next time another one may ever come up for sale? Probably never. You got a little gold energy. Nice. That's cool, bud. He's opening Pokemon while we're talking. Why do you, so Ryan Bitter says, interesting. Some people like to call me out without calling me out. Interesting. I'll read the whole question too, Ryan. I'm not a puss. Interesting. You thought that his best cards, you thought PMGs were only in vogue because Nats generation had money now. It's true, but why fight it? Why we talk about this all the time, right? You should try to get to where the puck's going to be, not where it is, because by the time you get to where it is, it's going to be somewhere else. Why fight it? Don't try to buy what you want. If you're buying it as an investment card, buy what everyone wants. And what everyone wants seems to be those PMGs. So Chronicle Finite Herbert doing under 20K. It should do under 2K, Konami card. Herbert hasn't done anything. It's a Chronicles card. And look at the AFC. Seriously, look at the AFC, and Herbert may be the most talented there, but he doesn't have the most talented team. And the gauntlet a quarterback has to get through in the AFC to do well is very hard. You got Mahomes, you got Burrow, you just added Aaron Rodgers, who's won the MVP twice, right? You've got, in his own division is Mahomes. Herbert's there. We could just go through Lamar Jackson. There's a million quarterbacks in there and really good teams. So I have a difficult time, saying I'm going to invest money in Justin Herbert. But here you go. Well, the Bo staff has the longest range. Exactly. Let's see, Jeff Hart. Can I comment on the 1-of-1 vintage basketball selling for eye-popping prices in the PWCC weekly auctions? I don't know what 1-of-1 vintage basketball. Jeff, you have to explain that to me. I don't exactly know what that means. What's 1-of-1 vintage basketball? I didn't know. Vintage basketball cards usually don't have 1-of-1s. They're kind of recent. Herbert, another Marino. Yeah. It's save this live. Why? Because you think I'm wrong about Herbert? I'm not. Pop 1 cards. Hey, people just ask Mr. Hustle when you're coming on the show. You should tell them in the chat how many times I've tried to have you on the show. Bagels and Wax, I love you. Have a good weekend. Hopefully see you at the Plainview show this weekend. Charles, tell Cage about Steve about his giveaway. Okay, Jordan Hudson, I wanted that shack, just to have to sell my house. Yeah, that's the thing. A green PMG shack of any grade. That's somewhat reasonable. If it wasn't red, I'd say no way. Green, yeah, sure. They hardly. I don't remember seeing one for sale before the crazy run up. I don't remember seeing one of those for sale. And I'm a Shaq guy. I have a PMG. I have a red. Herbert is Drew Bledsoe 2.0. Very possible. And Bledsoe was a heck of a quarterback. He really was. Let's hope he's not Rick Meyer 2.0. I have been trying. You know that. Get on that PPP loans. I don't have a company to get PPP loans. What are my thoughts on Ja and Zion market going forward? The Ja one is going to be very interesting to see what happens with the NBA, Okay. This is a great question, right? I don't like what the NBA is doing with Ja. I really don't. I don't like what what they just did. They just announced, hey, we've uncovered additional evidence, good evidence, exculpatory evidence, I would say, or bad evidence. Like what's the evidence? And most people are reading into it bad and that he's going to be suspended for a significant amount of games. And if that's the case, it's probably not going to help his cards short term or long term. And it's a shame because he is a heck of a talent. He really is a heck of a talent. And Zion on the other side of the equation, he's played even less, not because he's waving guns around or because there's an investigation showing, all kinds of stuff about him. Zion just can't stay healthy. And, I would be nervous about Zion. I really would be nervous about Zion because, he's supremely talented. But I got to give Andrew credit. Andrew came on our show, right at the Zion's first year and was like, Zion may not have the work ethic needed to be the star that you'll need to support his prices. He said when people come in and they sign for big money, there's no chip on their shoulder. They don't really have to work for it. I actually heard an interview with Michael Jordan where he kind of said the same thing about some of these young stars, that they don't really have to earn it. They just get it. As soon as they're in, it's theirs. And it's definitely an interesting thing. It really is. Let's see what else. Thoughts on value of Bowman now that the Drew Jones has been pulled. Listen, Bowman, it's always a pain to lose the top one. I liken those bounties and those 1-of-1 superfractors, Big John, to watching Deal or No Deal. You ever see that Deal or No Deal, right? The show, Howie Mandel was the host, and they got, all the suitcases out there, and like you want to turn over the one that has $1 or $5, but you want to keep the $1 million suitcase. I think they even have like a slot machine of this too. It's like the $1 million case is gone, but there are still, the 750 to 500,000. There's still plenty of stuff in there, and Bowman is just it's a different animal. People were buying Bowman, prospecting on Bowman, collecting Bowman way before this recent, COVID run up and bubble and boom, whatever you want to call it in cards. People always will. The prices of Bowman has come down a little bit. It definitely has. That's my take on it. I don't think it's really going to hurt too much. People still going to try to pull gold cards of his, even though they can't pull the 1-of-1. And I think there are different 1-of-1s too. There's no such thing as a 1-of-1 anymore. That's not cards. Zion's problem, his reliability or his lack of wanting to be there. I think it's both. I think the lack of wanting to be there, Jordan, leads to a lack of reliability. It may be a change of scenery needed. Tell me who in New Orleans is the veteran leader. Oh, wait, it's sort of dead air. There really isn't one, right? He's playing with a team leader, Brandon Ingram. He's kind of the team leader. Devontae Graham is my guy. He's been there, for 4 or 5 years. I think what Zion may need is a change of scenery to go and play with someone who's done it before. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Vintage card collector. I don't know if I'd go this. I don't know if I'd go this far. Vintage card collector says best case for Zion, he's more healthy and has a decent career with a few All-Star appearances. Hall of Famer, no. I think we can't make the call on it yet. He might not even make a few All-Star games. He may never play. He can't even stay healthy enough to be on the court. My thought with him is if he goes to somewhere where a veteran, who does this the right way, you know what I mean, and kind of teaches him what to do. You pair him up with somebody who's been in the league for a while, and can, I don't know, teach him how to train, teach him how to, how diet is important and all that other fun stuff. You would figure that could be a helpful thing, get his mind right. Ingram obviously is not doing that. Ingram's not a veteran either. I know he's been in the league for a couple of years, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I'll use LeBron as an example, right? Although LeBron is notorious for not making his teammates better. But LeBron knows what he's doing, knows how to stay healthy, knows how to, keep his body right. And, he knows how to play, and he's played for a long time and can continue to play for a longer time. It's just one example. I think he kind of needs a mentor in the league, right? Drew Jones has a better chance of making the Hall of Fame than Zion, says Denny Cards. Even if that's the case, I'm taking the 250 on the card now and not waiting till he's in the Hall of Fame for that $1 million. No way. Take that money and run. Take that money and run now. Zion's extremely talented, but he isn't an alpha, which is strange considering his talent level. He needs extreme discipline. I mean, I would say, who are the alphas in the game? Right. So JR Sports Cards. It's another one. It's one of those things that actually worries me a little bit with prospecting or buying cards. Right. You just watched the Boston series. Does Boston even have an alpha? Seriously. Is it Jaylen Brown who, shied away from the moments and turned the ball over more than he made important shots? Is it Tatum who disappeared and had, one good quarter when they needed him? And these are guys that people are investing big money in, right? Who are the alphas? There are very few alphas, and yet we're hoping when we put money in. Think of how much money's been spent on Jalen Green down in Houston. Is he an alpha? Scotty Barnes in Toronto. Think of how much money's being spent on, those, the National Treasures RPAs. Brown is soft. Is LaMelo Ball really an alpha? I mean, I don't know, Collectogram. I really don't. I don't know. It's funny. Bench Bob Chicago says on Instagram, Zion to Miami. Global on YouTube at the same time says, send him to Miami. Jimmy shows him what's up. Bam, Zion, Jimmy. The heat wave is hardcore. By the way, the Spurs, a coach like Pop also in Zion's ear could be a different thing also. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, Ja and Zion in the golden auction last night. Doesn't surprise me. I would be moving my stuff. I can tell you how many cards I own of Zion and Ja right now. It rhymes with hero. All right. My son owns 2 Zion cards. They're the ones that he pulled and we graded. One, if you haven't heard the story yet, go find the story of Ian's green Pulsar out of 25. That was one hell of a fun story. We pulled that. We sent it to PSA, meaning I sold it, and I got it back, the same exact one. That was a fun one. It was a good one. KPJ is the alpha in Houston. For real? Josh, I don't know whether that's the case. I don't know what what's going to happen there. We shall see. We shall see. Time to wash the gray out, says Card Messiah. See, I don't duck from any comments. I definitely am getting a little grayer. It's definitely, you can see that the picture I use on my avatar picture on Instagram. I took that picture in 2018, less than 5 years ago. And I look significantly older. The hobby has stressed me out. Comments like you, the Card Messiah, telling me how gray I am. It stresses me out. It makes me want to leave forever. When people post rumors, it makes me want to leave. Just kidding. Gray, it's distinguished, man. It's distinguished. The gray comes from the down market. No. Upstate Sports Cards asks thoughts about the National. Keep the questions going. Edwards can be an alpha. We can talk about Edwards. Thoughts about the National. I'll give a 2-minute on the National, Upstate Sports Cards. I love the question. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm looking forward to the National. I'm hoping to go. I don't have airfare booked yet. But I have a hotel reserved. It's going to be a different feel to it. It really is. I mean, we've been there with almost carnival type atmospheres where, Whatnot was just throwing money around and just building out these big, spaces. And if I were Whatnot, I probably wouldn't be doing the same thing, in the face of Fanatics Live coming out there. We've been there through times of euphoria. The last Chicago show, everything was up. Everybody's buying. It didn't matter what you bought. It was going up. You name it. So, there was sort of like a, hey, we all made it type of thing. To the moon, rocket ship emojis. I don't think that you're going to have that same type of feel here because most people who, went there as, quote, investors or have been in the hobby as investors are probably down on a lot of the cards they bought as an investment because the market overall is down. That said, I mean, I was at Mint Collective. There are new companies that are funding and getting a ton of money and putting up big spaces. And I anticipate the National to have a lot of that also. Attendance, it might be slightly lower attendance. I don't think so. I think they expanded it. I think there's going to be more dealers, more tables, more people. And especially when you compare it against Atlantic City, a lot of people didn't want to go to Atlantic City. A lot of people from the West Coast don't want to come all the way to the East Coast. A lot of people don't want to spend any time in Atlantic City. I can't really blame them. Trades to be made at the National, Bennett Balling, I think, yes, I think you are correct. I think there'll be more trades. And I think, look, people talk about collector versus investor. I think it's almost a silly conversation, right? I mean, I think you could be both. I think most collectors are investors also, even though they'll tell you that they have, parts of their collection that, they don't care if it goes up, down. They just want to own it. They just want to own it. But, the National was a collector showcase. You were going there looking for that vintage card, or you're looking for that card, that you couldn't find anywhere else. If they don't have it at the National, they're not going to have it anywhere. So, that was kind of what the National was about. I think you probably see a little bit more of that. Yeah, Bench Mob, you're 100% right. It's the biggest in history, just square footage and table wise, 100%. But why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do that? And make more money on it, right? Look at this question from the stories. Okay, let's see. Will comps become obsolete like Beckett pricing for cards? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna put this one up here. Here's a question, right? Question from the guy who doesn't like my gray hair. A little question: $100,000 on the Chiefs to win the division, or $100,000 on a Patty card? $100,000 on the Chiefs to win the division, 100%. I'll take that anytime. You and I talked about this, right? People tried to use sports cards as a proxy for sports betting, and it didn't exactly work out. And I think he wins that division easy. That's my thought on it. What do I think of Carr on the Saints? Ask Luis Ramos. So Luis, I think he's a sleeper, and I'm a Raider fan. I'm sad to see him go, but this is the best thing that could have ever happened for his cards and for his collectors, because he could be a talented quarterback. It's not going to matter. Look at the division he's in, right? He's got Mahomes and Herbert and, Russell Wilson, hopefully better than he was last year, a year removed from that, pretty terrible injury he had. So, I mean, Carr with the Raiders, no. And, he had the best receiver in the league there last year with Devontae Adams, and it didn't make a difference. Now he goes to a division where I don't know what the odds are, but I'd be betting on the Saints to win that division. I mean, I know there are some important, influential people out there spending a lot of money on Desmond Ridder, but no. Will Grier times 2. There are no real teams in that division that are runaway favorites. I think the Saints have a lot of weapons. If they stay healthy, Carr could really do some stuff. Take a look at Carr's numbers. Carr's numbers for the first couple of seasons compare very favorably to what Joe Burrow's numbers look like at this point in his career. If you take a snapshot of what Burrow's done and then look at what Carr did at that point in time, Carr was a Pro Bowl quarterback. So people forget it. And it's also a good thing to kind of, look at when you're, when you're now investing money in Burrow or some of these other quarterbacks in year 2, year 3. They could very easily become Derek Carr, a very good quarterback, someone who's won a lot of games. But no one really wants their cards anymore. So that's the deal. Let's see. Saints minus 125 to win the division. Hell yeah, Paul Wax. Hell yeah. And I am very handsome. Even with the gray, people in the comments they're commenting about my gray, Paul Wax. Are you okay with it? Does it make me look distinguished? Does it make me look distinguished? There was a comment in here. I think who came in? I want to acknowledge LAFC Gooner in the chat. Did a great job with the Griezmann break yesterday. I know the cards weren't there. You can't control what cards are in a break. That's kind of the way that it works, right? If we all knew what jackpot was coming on which slot machine, we'd pull that slot machine. That's kind of not the way that the world works. But what a cool thing, to have a soccer ambassador like Miles out there breaking cards with Griezmann. So that's it. How do you sign up to drink coffee with me? I don't know. There is definitely a few people who want to sponsor this segment. Coffee. It's coffee in the name, so that's a deal. Pullwax, DM me. I may split that bet with you. If you really want to do a little bet, we could be Cblez. I could take my shirt off. I could do a little dance on a live or something like that. We could really do, we can have some fun there. We can we can make betting content. But I think the Saints are, I think the Saints are going to win that division. So I don't really drink coffee, by the way, Paul Wax. That's why it's funny. But you want to grab Coke Zero somewhere? Hell yeah. Let's see. We got some stuff. Wemby's card's going to be a bigger chase than Zion. All right. Let's talk about this. I wouldn't think so due to the COVID factor. Zion's chase was huge. It also came at a time where everything was running. I think people are a little smarter now, right? And even the people who aren't smart, who are coming in for Wemby, they're going to buy the Sports Illustrated card that I was telling people to buy for $5 and $10. Remember, and it's hundreds of dollars now. Remember, I gave that play on the show. That card's going to come crashing down, and then whatever the next one here is, Inception Auto and Chrome, and there's going to be more. There's demand for his cards. The supply is going to increase. The price is going to come down. Most people already know that's going to happen, and that's going to stem the tide of the chase. You also have to remember, the release schedule is still different now because of COVID. Back then, you could buy Zion's Prism card before he was playing. You were able to get Luka's Prism and invest it during the year while he was playing. You could buy it and, sell it. I don't know when Wemby's Prism is going to come out. Look at the Flawless that's released now is not even this year's rookie. It's last year's rookie class. So you got to keep that, into account. Back to pull wax, low key Panthers plus 350. Not with a rookie quarterback. No, not with a rookie quarterback. They'll be okay, but give them a couple years. Supply on Wemby cards is going to be massive. Yes. Although he could be that guy that it doesn't matter if he does, what people think he's going to do. Stub set, love your ticket collection. Loved seeing you at the Brigandy night. I'll answer. The supply is going to be massive, but take a look at the amount of Ohtani rookies that were produced, and people still buy Ohtani because he has, look what he's done. But even that, you can buy PSA 10 Ohtani rookies for very little money, and that's kind of I think a good comparison for Wemby. Division's easily the worst in the NFL. Anyone can win it. LJK cards. That's why the Saints are going to win it. He's a very good quarterback who has not been showcased. They did not put a line around him. It was a horrible defense. Take a look at when they actually played. I mean, they made the playoffs not this past year, the year before with that ridiculous Charger game at the end. And they've been playing in a very hard division. He's a good quarterback. Just take it from a Raider fan. It's one of those things. A couple things. Let's see what we got. National's going to be hopping, says Vintage Card Collector. Skipped AC because the city sucks. Can't wait for Chicago. But you're a Vintage Card Collector, and I think that you're an indicator of what the National has been like historically and what it will be probably going forward. Josh asks, why does Daniel Jones get no love? His prices compared to other quarterbacks is crazy, especially being in New York. I would have thought after winning a road playoff game, his prices would have went nuts. I think his ceiling is very low. That's why. I don't think he's a gunslinger. It's great that he is able to move an offense with his legs. He's made some silly plays where, the turf bit him and he got tackled by himself. He tripped over his own legs. I just don't ever see him putting up the numbers that some of these other quarterbacks are going to put up. And when you think about the amount of quarterbacks that are out there for you to, spread the money around and invest in, he's just not one that makes it. But Josh, I'm not going to crap on your point. He's got a lot of things going for him. All right. That's a good team with good weapons. He's in New York, and the NFC just got weaker. The same reason that I like the, Derek Carr and the Saints. The NFC's quarterback talent. You lost Brady and Rodgers out of the NFC. So a weak NFC got weaker. The only problem is Daniel Jones is the third best quarterback in his division. I mean, I'm not a Dak Prescott fan, but obviously I think, Hurts is better. As weak as the NFC is, I don't think the Giants are even favored to win that division. They might be, people might have them coming in third in that division, even with last year's success. So that's why Jones doesn't get it. Zach asks, with that said, would I rather invest in Jones or Fields? I'm going to say neither, but if I have to pick one, I'll say Jones because the downside risk is less because his prices are so cheap. Fields, his cards have run so much because everybody wants to catch the next two, Hurts of last year, and they will think it's going to be Fields. I don't think Fields is that type of a player. He's athletic. He's crazy. He's going to put up some, rushing numbers if he stays healthy. He's going to put up some crazy video game type of running totals. He was doing that last year. I just don't think he has the arm, the team, or anything like that. And I think there's more room for his stuff to fall if he gets injured or if he doesn't pan out because people have just run his cards up a lot. Steve Thompson, Cage, only got to say hello to you at the end of the day outside the National last year. Looking forward to a conversation in Chicago. Steve, send me a message. I'm probably going to be there, as long as I get the permission slip from the wife signed. Probably be there starting Wednesday. I have plenty of time. I like to go out and hang out. People catch me smoking a cigar in front of the convention center kind of stuff. We'll try to do events. I try to do an event that's, open to anybody, maybe grab a cigar at like a cigar lounge or one of the hotels. I'll be at the Hyatt if that matters to anybody. So there you go. This is tough. I'm trying to also keep up with the chat here on Instagram that folks asked me to do. We got a lot of people, the live is hopping in, in YouTube. M. Trice, who do you think will win Conor versus Chandler later this year? M. Trice. So he's talking about the Ultimate Fighter. Those are the two coaches. For some reason, I think the fight doesn't happen. For some reason, I think one of those guys pulls out. Conor gets injured during sparring, training, you name it. It's not a huge fight for him. I mean, I like Chandler. Also, it's not a good stylistic matchup for Conor either. I mean, Chandler could win it ugly. He could take him down and, be an ugly fight for Conor. Chandler showing that he has a decent chin. By the same token, Conor could end it early with a quick knockout. It's one of those things. A lot. If you go back in the history of Ultimate Fighter, a lot of times, probably close to half the times, the coaches don't end up fighting. There's like a backup that comes in and fights. So that's the deal. Zach, since you're a Bears fan, I'm hoping that Fields blows up and has a great season. Also, I like the Lions in that division until we had the gambling suspensions and all that craziness. That's going to wreak havoc on that clubhouse for the whole year, even when those guys come back. Sports Card Nonsense says afternoon perv. Afternoon right back to you guys. Cage Lawyer Minion. You all need to just break up or kiss next episode. I don't know what that means, but that's good stuff. But he's Cage Lawyer Minion. So anybody who names themselves Cage Lawyer Minion, they're going to make their way onto the YouTube. I'm going to post whatever it is they're saying. Ken Texan, you just joined. I asked you a question first to start off with. Colts winning the division. Interesting. Maybe. Cigar Night was off limits, says Bro Namath. Konami card. Nah, come on. Uber Collector says invest in Bradshaw, Namath, and Staubach. No. So it's funny. Take a look at the video that I did. Many of you guys have already seen it, where it's Joe Burrow and Joe Montana. Now, obviously, I'm not an idiot. I know that the Joe Burrow is a Contenders auto that's graded, and the Montana is just a 40 years after his playing career is over, random autograph. I'm not saying they should be the same price, but I was drawing a comparison between, it's 20 times the price. Look at the comments in there. Sometimes it's fun to look at the comments because it kind of gives you an idea of what people are spending their money on and what their thoughts are, why they're chasing certain things. It's a good indicator of why right now, unless you're holding it for a long term, and Steve, I know you do hold things long term. I don't know if I'm buying Roger Staubach cards. I was in a chat group with the guys from the Card Talk pod. Lou was in there, and I remember him saying that I think he was saying that if Joe Montana walked up to him on the street and punched him in the face, he wouldn't know who that was. And I was like, what? It's Joe Montana. But I think it was tongue in cheek, but it is important to, kind of throw that out there, So, a lot of these young guys, they just want to buy the up and comer, the next new name. So I have about 40 raw Trevor Lawrence rookies. Should I sell raw in September or grade now and sell in September? Most are low-level rookies. Joseph John Whiting, it's a good question. It depends which ones they are. I would say the National is the best time to sell your quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence's cards are really expensive, but people are still paying it. So right around that time is when I would that's when I would sell. I mean, that's just, when most people are looking for him. I wouldn't hold into the season. The expectations for Trevor Lawrence this year are huge. I mean, he's a prohibitive favorite to win that division. Anything can happen. And the prices are just, they're priced for perfection. They're kind of like when Jalen Hurts week 8, week 9, week 10 last year. And I was like, sell, not because I don't like Hurts, but because I think you can maximize your money on it now. That's the deal. Konami card, you always have some fun stuff, so I'll put it out there. When you say old heads, I assume you're talking about me. Where is the money going, though? Old heads had their shot, but are losing wallet share by the day. I don't know exactly what that means, wallet share. Old heads had their shot. Maybe translate that into old person for me, and I'll try to answer it. Boom roasted sports card nonsense. I'm a little behind on the chat here. AG cards, what do you think affects card pricing long-term? More number of rings, MVPs, all-time accomplishments, i.e. top 5 scorer, so on. It's a good question. What's funny is right now, the biggest impact on cards while someone's playing is youth and potential, right? So let's start with that. People are paying more now for, young, unproven talent. And that's kind of always the way it's been. So, you got old men like me yelling, get off the lawn and that kind of stuff. It's just the way it is, right? Oh, why would you spend this much money on Scotty Barnes when you can buy Tim Duncan for this much? Because people aren't buying Tim Duncan because it's not cool to show the Tim Duncan cards off. When Scotty Barnes drops 40, people can show, look at the cool gold card that I have. I was right. I bought him first, and then try to sell it for more money. People love that potential. People love to buy those early guys. If we're beyond that now and we're out of prospecting, rings matter, right? Obviously, MVPs are great, but rings matter. Joker. I say his name wrong, so I'll say it 3-4 different times. Him winning a ring this year will be bigger for him than winning 2 MVPs, and definitely be bigger than, he would have another MVP this year. I think he would probably say the same thing. Top 5 scorer, not so much. I mean, people don't really buy Karl Malone cards, because he didn't have the MVPs in the rings. So I would put that third on the, on the list. Manny being Manny says, too many people are buying quarterbacks for the National. You think people might get hurt buying quarterbacks for the National? It's funny. I would tend to agree with you, but listen to the last show I did with Black Shaded Wolf. She was talking about the Dallas show and how people are paying strong for quarterbacks still. And you're talking about retail. People want to get in on Trevor Lawrence. People are buying Jalen Hurts like crazy. Now, if people are paying above comp now for those 2, hoping to sell them at the National, you could be right. Jimmy G getting your Raiders to the playoffs back to collecting asks, I say Jimmy G might not even play for the Raiders. I don't know about his foot, but I know Brady's not playing. That's a dream, but it's not. Mighty Fine Rip says, my God, I just had this convo with myself today. You might want to go get that checked out. People who talk to themselves are crazy. Let's see. What do I think about people buying cards combined? Not a problem. It's funny. Sometimes I come up with fun ideas, right? A couple of our business partners said that I should have charged them more for the consulting, and yeah, that little pat on the back here. But if I were a fractional company, collectibles still kind of around, rallies out there, one of the things I would have looked into is private fractional, right? Like what if that Shaq card is out there, right? And me and 4 or 5 other Shaq collectors want the card, but none of us are willing to shell out 170 grand. But, 5 of us will be willing to put 35 grand towards it, a piece of it. Well, what about private fractionalization? What about, an actual contract through collectible where, that card is now there's, it's not just, hey, buddies, let's all kick in the money. They're buying it, it's purchased, and there's an actual agreement done up. I think there's probably room for something like that, to actually, be done. Not Jason Dardick wants to know if I am wearing pants. The answer is no. I rarely wear pants when I record. You will have to pay extra for me to pan the camera down, though, Jason. I'm not talking about what you tried to pay me last time. That's come on. Sports Card Nonsense says Little Timmy. Little Timmy just left. He was opening Bowman Megas and Pokemon and just went out to play basketball. Obviously, I know I'm not an idiot, says Denny Cards. I think you're quoting me, and I am not an idiot. Long-term holds. Was interested to see 4 vintage cards Adam Gray highlighted the other day. High grade, low pop, did huge numbers. Okay, those are set building, and I don't buy it. I got to tell you, I don't buy it, those prices. It reminds me a lot of the purchases of 86 Fleer PSA 10s of, Johnny Moore and Jeff Malone and some of the low pop guys on that were selling for 6 figures that are now, 1/5 of the price. It's another inorganic chase. That said, there are people out there who are fighting with one another to try to be the top in set registries. Those are not, I'm not buying a PSA 10 common of a 1969 basketball player because nobody really wants that other than to try to sell it to somebody who's trying to build that set. So, that's I wouldn't really love doing that. That said, the 69 top set, it's a nice set. That set in high grade. I owned an Alcindor. It's a card that I sold for profit, but I do wish I still had the card that I owned. What's my go-to bourbon when you mix with Coke Zero? I should show you. I have an entire bar cart over here filled with bourbon. Can you see that there? There's pictures. There's all kinds of stuff there. See a little bar cart with bourbon. My go-to bourbon. That's an interesting one. I got a Pappy 12 that I sip. That's a good one. Obviously, I don't share that with anybody because nobody's worth opening that. Blanton's is good, but it's gotten really expensive. If you want a good drinker that you can still get in stores, because people ran bourbon up like crazy. You want a good drinker? Bullet makes a good bourbon. My wife is a bourbon drinker also, but she sticks with Woodford. So loads of fun. I love that kind of question. Somebody asked me earlier if I could only eat one food forever, what would it be? I'm going to answer this, and then I want both chats. Maybe I'll do a giveaway. Blanton's is the Trevor Lawrence of bourbon. Pretty much, D Stiller. Four Roses is decent. Eagle Rare is a good one. Buffalo Trace is a good one. They're all decent. It depends how sweet you like it. What kind of, you like a corn mash, what kind of mash bill you like on it. But I mean, Bib and Tucker's a cool bottle. I have one of those over there. So you ready for this? Tell me what movie. Well, Weller is amazing. Weller's the same still. Weller's the same, mash bill as Pappy. People don't realize that either. So Cherry Pez. That's an easy answer. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, Cherry Pez. Anybody? Ziggy says Chick-fil-A. Angel's Envy I'll buy Angel's Envy also for my wife. It's a little sweeter than the Woodford that she likes. Ziggy, I like the spicy chicken sandwich with the sweet sauce, like what they call Polynesian sauce. And I'll take a regular with the spicy sriracha sauce on it. So that's good stuff. Can anybody tell me what movie that's from? If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, Cherry Pez. That's easy. Cherry Pez. Easy. Cherry Pez. I'm going to give the chats here. We got, looks like combined between the two, like 70 something people in the lives across. GV Sports Cards nails it. I love it. I love the card folks. That is Stand By Me. Card Messiah, you got it, but you got it a little after GV Sports Cards. But I'll give you credit also. You did nail it. That is nice. Back to collecting. I'd love to go to the Derby. I'd look good in a weird hat. Stand By Me was the answer. Cherry Pez, Vern. Of course, Cherry Pez. Now, my real answer is not that far from it. I would eat red Swedish fish. If you told me I'm going to be stranded on a deserted island and could only have one food forever, but it's an unlimited supply and I can have it whenever I want, red Swedish fish. Is that really a food? Doesn't matter. It's my answer. There you go. All right, chat. I'm going to give you a chance. I try to keep my episodes to like a half an hour. This is, approaching 50 minutes here. So I'll give you one. How about some Stand By Me cards? I don't think there are Stand By Me cards. Definitely not licensed, but I would buy the hell out of those. I would buy Stand By Me. I'd buy like even non-licensed. We got to get on Leaf, get on Brian Gray, get some Stand By Me. The only problem is autos. The auto chase would be, very hard. It'd have to be a sticker and they'd have to find them, or maybe a cut auto of River Phoenix. That would probably be pretty difficult. Lardass for the win. Do you remember Lardass's name? Don't look it up. Tell me his name. Red, white, and blue are not as good. Anybody? How about some Stand By Me cards? I love it. All right, throw out one more question, guys, and I'll wrap it up on that. If not, I'll find a question from something that somebody asked me. I love that. What would I eat? That was a good one. What holds more weight in my PC? Performance, accolades versus likability, personality. It's both. It really is both. That's a pretty straightforward one for me. You have to be somebody who's going to perform, but you also have to have a personality. It's why I'm a Shaq guy. It's why I'm Griffey. Obviously those were the guys I collected when I grew up, but I didn't go with other players because, I gravitated towards those personalities. Griffey changed the game for me. It's why I think kids now, even though, you have some steroid stuff, will like Tatis. He's got a flair to him and he's talented, It's why a lot of people gravitated towards Kobe. Not me personally, but a lot of people love Kobe. They love that Mamba mentality. It's something on top of the greatness, right? It's something on top of the, the counting stats. So that's the deal. Did you say Alfonso was Lardass's name? No, his name was not Alfonso. All right, I'm going to have to let you guys, maybe answer it in the chat as you watch this. And yes, Chris Letty, please, let's get some Stand By Me cards. Let's start a petition. Global, you have the last question. What does my wife collect? I don't think she really collects anything. We have purchased cards. The last show we went to in Hofstra, she bought a Bill Paxton auto for herself. The guy who was in Aliens and Big Love, and it was weird. He was in a Marvel show, so it's actually a Marvel auto. We bought it from Black Shaded Wolf. Ask Gio who made the first baseball card in the 1800s. Gio's not here. And it would also, AG cards depend on what you consider a card. Do you consider like a card de vie? Do you a CDV a card? Is it the 1869 Red Leggings card? It really depends on what you actually consider a card. There's some team photos that some people will consider cards in, the mid 1800s. But yeah, lots of fun. Mortimer, your brother's not well. F him movie. It's Trading Places. Card Messiah. You gotta wake up earlier than that to stump me. Trading Places. Randolph and Mortimer Duke. Come on, man. And that's another episode of Coffee with Cage. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A little Coke Zero going down the hatch. Everybody have fun this weekend. I'm going to try to hit a show. I hope you guys do as well. If you're going to National and you want to meet up, send me a DM. I love kind of like walking around. I don't set up at a table, on purpose. But, send me a message if you're going. Send me a message if you're not going. You want me to look for anything for you. Love you guys. Thanks for all the questions. This show is boring if you don't ask questions. It would just be me looking at the camera saying nothing. Have a great day.